rollers of the new automatic doors that are coming downstairs. There's two light switches downstairs. One light switch does the lights up in the east on the outside, and the other one will do underneath this landing here. There's 4 lights. At the moment, only 2 of them, they're actually all off at the moment because there's a problem with the internals, but that's getting fixed today. So you can turn on the light switch from as soon as you walk in the door, and then off again or on again from up here. So if you're leaving and it's dark in there, you can turn it on. As you walk out, you can flick them off, and vice versa.
Now there will be, even when you go home at night and turn off the lights, there'll be some lights on all the time.
Okay.
Yep.
They're like emergency lights.
Yep.
The idea is there's...
Exit above your head.
That if you did come in the building, you couldn't find the light switch, you can actually find your way through the building.
Okay.
Yes.
So
And they operate automatically, so...
they're on all the time, okay? Yeah. And that's just a
I'll
building
show you that
regulation.
a bit further down that way.
Yeah.
There's two main entry points that we've worked out for if you're going to come in the morning and come in your car. So in the car park, there's 2 sort of main stairwells you can come up through the centre of the building, and at each stairwell, top of the landing, which I'll show you in a minute, it's got half the whole building. As soon as you walk up one stairwell, you turn on the light switch that turns on at half the building, so you can still, if it's midnight, you can see where you're going. And if you walk up the other stairwell, you flick the light switch on, it does the other half of the building. So you can, at any one time, flick one light switch on, half the building's going to come on, so you can sort of see where you're going.
So if they go home at night, they have to turn off the lights down the back and then turn off the lights at the front.
Yes. Yeah. There's very minimal switches, which we've done, instead of having a bank of 20 of them. It's very, very minimal. I think there's 4 on each.
Great.
So just walk in, 4 light switches, whole building's on.
Wonderful.
So it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
So common sense would say, if you're going out at night, and you're going through the car park, you come up here and turn off there, then walk down that way and turn the lights off.
Yep.
And if you're going it the other way...
Yep. And light switches are at the top of the stairwells. So as soon as you walk up, turn them on, you can see where you're going. So it's very, very easy.
And the stairwells, do they have that permanent lighting?
They do. They have emergency lighting in them. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, they do. Yep. Reception, just here. There is power and phone and comms underneath. There's a couple of points underneath here. So you can always put your leads down to a table for the already pre-made holes. So if you need to plug any of your computers in, that's all underneath.
So they've all got, are they labelled now? Or
Yep.
not?
Every single, there's a data plate, which is there's a phone and one for your computer. On every single plate for this whole building, they're numbered. And we'll get to the comms room a bit later. In the comms room, if you've got a problem, you can read whatever number is on your data point here, and that will correspond to the numbers in the comms room. So it's just from point A to point B. That's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it will correspond in the comms room.
Did you ever see the old place?
No, I haven't. No.
Just makes me laugh. All this stuff that's kind of organised and sensible that we haven't had for such a long time.
That switch at the moment,
Say again, sorry?
the duress, the alarms, so are they coming through
Will
to reception?
That's going to be a separate induction. Security aren't ready for us at the moment.
Okay.
So there will be another induction to be done with the security contractor.
Right.
We tried to get them here today, but they said they still got a bit more work to do. And they're like, much rather do it than completely finish.
Okay.
And also with all your PowerPoints everywhere, there's a couple underneath the desk, they're everywhere. On the front of every PowerPoint it does have a label, which is it goes to a corresponding switchboard and a corresponding circuit breaker. So if you plug in a faulty appliance and it will trip the circuit breaker, you can read whatever label we have on the PowerPoint, and then we can go back to the corresponding switchboard, and that's where the circuit breakers are. So in case you plug a computer in, the lead's half turned off and it trips the circuit breaker, every single PowerPoint in this building is labelled, so you know which switchboard to go back to which circuit breaker to go back to.
So does it only shut down to that point?
Yes.
It doesn't like blow a hole? Oh, that's great.
So it's contained.
Yes. So whatever PowerPoints are on that one individual circuit, it will shut down that one circuit, nothing else. Nothing else.
Great.
And normally it is from a faulty appliance. It's,
But to answer your question, you could have 2 appliances plugged into that one PowerPoint.
Yes.
It would trip them both.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're on
But
the
not
same
take
circuit.
out half.
No,
That's
no,
right.
it will not.
Won't take out everyone's that's
It
right.
won't take out the
Okay.
lights and everything, so just that one thing.
What's the most we've got on one circuit, you know?
PowerPoint lights, computers probably 10.
So take out.
Worst case.
Yeah. It's, I think the most we've got in one is 10. So it's very, very minimal. There's a couple of power cords up the top there. There's for boiling water unit, a zip unit. Instantaneous hot and cold water. So once that goes in, there'll be a couple of power points there as well if you want to plug another kettle in or a toaster or whatever you need. So that will happen once that goes in.
Minimal power points on these, on the walls.
I'll show you over this way, which is going to be a lot of computers. Clean them up a bit. But along this wall, all this table is going to have computers on it. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 computers along here. So this is the worst case if the computer is faulty. It will just trip, just shut off the power, just to that. Nothing else, anywhere else, just here. So again, you can see, I'll show you an example. Every PowerPoint has a distribution board 3, which I'll show you where those are as we go through, and a circuit breaker number. So if an appliance is faulty, you can go back to that distribution board and that circuit breaker.
Can you show me that for a second, Brett, just for the... yeah, Robert.
That's not. That's not.
It trips like twice, 3 times. Presume it's 40 and
Correct.
Left-hand side.
Correct, indeed. They don't trip for no reason. There always is a reason why they do shut off the power. You can try and flick the circuit breaker back on. If it automatically goes back off again, something is wrong.
Are the numbers only on the face plates? They're
Yes,
not
they
on
are.
the back plates?
No, they're not. They're just on these.
Okay, so we
That first one they
must
are.
never mix them around.
Try not to.
Yeah.
Try not to.
There shouldn't be. There should never be it.
It's the same with the data.
Yeah.
You don't actually take the plate off.
No,
anyway.
No,
shouldn't never have to.
Just
Should never have to.
question.
Because it'll help.
Yes, it will happen. It does happen. Same with data points, or numbered. We'll go through the contracts later on. So if there is a fault with it, whatever, it's
Corresponding, go back.
yes, 1 to 1, 2 to 2. It's very, very straightforward.
Mine doesn't work, I'll stop it before.
I'll show you the actual into this room here where the cool room is. This is one of 2 cool rooms. Forward here is a switch for exhaust fan. This puts out a fair bit of heat, so that's got to extract all the heat. So there's a switch for a exhaust fan, which should come on pretty much all the time.
Okay.
The switch should be on all the time.
Yeah, when this is going, yes.
Yeah.
Once that's all going, it does produce a lot of heat, so that extracts it out and gets rid of it. In here is one of 2 cool rooms. That one's not ready yet. I think it's in there. All this is an indicator light. Light switch by regs has to be on the inside in case you get locked inside.
Okay.
You have to have a light switch on the inside, not the outside. And all that light does, when you flick this light switch on, that light will come on to tell you this light is on. So if, say, power and that, once this door's closed, you can't see if the light's on. If that is on, your light switch on the inside is on. So it's just open the door and flick it off. There is an emergency release if you get trapped in, and in case you get trapped inside.
So,
It's a save me, I'm trapped in here.
despite the fact that we have that bell, you actually can't be locked in. Even if I lock the door on Brett now, he just opens it. You just open it without. So we're being extra
Yes.
safe.
Yeah. So you will never ever get locked inside. But yeah,
Now that you've let it go, it's going to close.
Yeah.
And you can,
Is that because it's raining?
But even if I locked that with a key, Brett could still come straight out.
emergency release sort of thing. So
Yeah.
you'll never ever get locked inside that one. So yeah, all that is to tell you that the light inside the core room is on and it's working.
So Brett, if there was a fault with that circuit,
Yep.
there wouldn't be nothing, we would know, just,
The lights won't turn on.
yeah. But I'm thinking about if the cool room's not cooling.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that was the bit of back of the power. Also on here, if there is ever these are a fully sealed light fitting for cool rooms. obviously water and electricity don't mix. So if condensation happens to get inside it, it will trip the circuit breaker, and again on the light switch in here, corresponding distribution board and circuit breaker.
So if the light doesn't work, you can assume that the power's off to the board.
Correct.
That's on its own dedicated.
Yes it is. Yep. If for any odd reason that does shut off or trips, no other lights anywhere will go out bar this one core room. Not even the lights out here, it's just the inside.
Yeah.
Is this under warranty?
I don't know.
Sure it is.
Sure, would they?
Yeah. Just being professionally installed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
we would need a copy of that to understand what
Yeah.
warranty is.
Yeah. So we'll move on. On every PowerPoint, it is labelled. There's only 3 distribution boards up on this level: 1, 2, and 3. And on every PowerPoint, like in this section, it's DB3. On the front of your switchboard, it's labelled level 1 DB3. So that's your point of reference. On the as-built that we supply to you guys, it's got exactly where every single PowerPoint is, where every single switchboard is. So
So you supply those plans?
yes, we do. Yes, we only just finished doing those this morning, so they will be supplied. So this is.
So is that?
Yep, that's this one just here.
All right. Okay.
That. I still got to do a proper legend of which circuit breaker goes where and what does what. That's still to be printed up at our office.
Right.
So that's just it's all clearly labelled, whichever one, which distribution board it is, and every light switch has a label on it too.
Before major
So in the morning you'll rock up and those lights will stay on.
Yeah.
You rock up here and it's 6 o'clock in the morning, it's nice and dark, you flick 4 light switches and you have this whole half of the building come on.
Great.
So that way you can see
All the way down.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So to clarify for the video,
Yep.
these for work and these for
They're
a
just
duds.
blanks. Yep. Just got your 4 main light switches and then rock up in the morning. So you still have your exits on, as you can see, in case they didn't flick flash, you know where to go.
Yeah.
They will remain on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you rock up in the morning, flick 4 switches, and half the whole floor is on. So very, very clearly visible.
Those are the stairs that go to the ground floor.
Yes, that is one of the stairwells, yes. There is 3 in total, but the very, very back one is like an emergency escape sort of thing. In emergencies, yeah. The 2 main ones are the one just down there, that's from the car park as well, and this one here. So we've got the 2 main entrances that you have, besides the reception where we trade the power switch. Half the whole floor comes on here, and half the floor will come on, and I'll show you down there. So it's very, 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 very basic. Full switching, there's that black tub, black box in the middle. Inside that you've got 2 data points and 2 elements. In every one of those tables will have phone and computer and 2 power ports.
This one, these are dead.
And these are dead, yes.
So we had a chat with Peter the other day. We might get rid of them, or
They're
put a
dead.
plate. You can get the little things to put in there, so people don't think back in the
Every single power point on this floor is labelled as working. Because this was very old and how it got to that used to be all around here, but that all got
like we're phoning this.
so it's no longer.
Now, there's one thing we like to apologise for, is some of the grills are over the partitions.
Yes.
That was just a cost-saving exercise. We wouldn't normally do that, but the lights here were existing, so we just wanted to keep the cost down rather than move 50 extra lights and more cabling, basically. So when the guys come in to retube them, they may have a bit of an issue, but it can be done. It's not impossible, the way they've been set out, but it's just the way that we didn't want to move lights for the sake of moving lights.
No.
Yep. But you can get them out, can't you?
Yes,
you get the
you can.
diffusers out and you get the tubes out.
And as soon as if we were to move them, it's a massive snowball effect because all the brand new lights which are through this part here, they're all plug-in, just a lead coming off your light plugged into a power point in the ceiling. But these old ones, they're all hardwired, so there's no flex and plug. So to move one, you have to recable every single light in the whole building.
So how do you get them out?
You can, each one of these ceiling grids you can pop up,
Tiles, yep.
just a
So
ceiling
you pop
tile.
up the other
Yep.
tile and then
And
go
the
over.
inside the actual ceiling itself, the light is just sitting there over that grill. So you can easily get to it, easily. Every single one of these tiles, it's just you can push up and move them and access inside the ceiling. So every single one is
But the
accessible.
ones with sprinklers.
Yes, minus the sprinkler heads.
Okay.
Yeah. Here is the other light switches, which will turn off the other half of the building. So that's one of the other main stairwells from the car park. So you'll rock up in the morning. There is a light underneath there which will be on, so you can see the stairwell. You turn up here, you flick 4 on, and there's the other whole half of the job turned on.
Let there be light.
And does it do the stairwell? So you can turn the stairwell on as you come up. Is there one?
No, there's not. But I think there is a light underneath. I think where you're
So if you turned those off before you went down, you would just turn it off on your way out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Medical, I think, has its own light.
Yes, medical does. Yes. Sorry. This is what's called a master switch. This top left one, actually, I will put a label on it. In order to have, besides this main thoroughfare right here, to have anything else on down that side of the lift, that one has to be on first, which is like it's your master on, master off. If that one's on, you can flick on and off anything else you want that side of the lift. But there's no reason why that won't ever not be on when you're anyone's.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing we probably never even notice.
You'll never ever think twice.
Unless we're creeping in the building late at night to
That's
do
exactly
something
right.
naughty.
Yeah, that will never be an issue.
If I come up on the lift, would you know which emergency light would be on?
This exit will be on.
Yep. So I'll be able to find my way to the light switch.
Correct. Yep. Yep. So if you can't lift, exit above, right here, that'll always be on. So it gives out a lot of light, even in the middle of the night. It does give out enough light to see the light switch. I'll show you these workstations.
Is that Wi-Fi above us there?
It is Wi-Fi. There's 7 Wi-Fi points throughout the building.
Which I used today, which was very exciting. Walked in the building, my phone started going nuts.
There is 7 scattered throughout. There's 2 out in the open part, 1 up in the middle of this workstation. There's 1 here, 1 in medical, and then 2 back down the back offices. So your phone, you can pick up Wi-Fi wherever you want in the whole building.
And unlike our current building, which is basically a sort of domestic Wi-Fi, this is industrial Wi-Fi.
So in all these boxes, 2 power points, 2 data points in every workstation, every box. And again, each power point is labelled with a distribution board, circuit breaker, and corresponding data numbers if there ever is a fault.
I'll get that to focus. I'll just point out to folks that each of those data points has the capability of running into a phone, and from that phone then into your computer. So from 2 data points, you can get 2 fully operational workstations with phone and computer, if they've been patched in the comms room.
Correct, which Craig stated here.
Yeah.
Yep. So every single workstation is identical. 2 power points, 2 data points. When they do close, you still can run your leads up through there, so you're still going to have that nice and close if you want.
So the question was, Patrick, maybe people need to be aware they've only got 2 power points, so you may need some power boards possibly, depending on what they're physically doing on their desk.
Yep. Yeah, we've got a few. It's been a lot of improvising. And when you need one, you've never got one, but when you pull the whole building out.
Hazard, like it is it where you are at the moment, like
Yes.
it's just trying.
It's everywhere. But correct.
Just trying to avoid, with the power boards, trying to avoid having this one having one coming off there and one coming off there, and then like a double adapter on each of that. As soon as you start accumulating,
I can't.
I know it does happen.
It's only a small disc.
Yeah,
There's no flashing disco lights.
it does become a big issue if you start plugging on and then joining to it. So it does become a big issue. So,
I'll underline that part of the video.
yeah. Oh, you can do it. You can put a power board on that.
Yeah, but that should be it, really. We
pretty
should
much.
make one power board connected to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to avoid that. That's when heat and that sort of stuff happens.
We can see this room here has, what, 40 power points?
Yeah, it's
or more.
amples.
Yeah.
Amples. And underneath, on that back wall, with the glass is, underneath that, the workstations at the tables actually different to these ones. All your PowerPoints and data points are underneath the desk.
Yep.
So they're all, again, clearly labelled where they go from.
I'll point out for the purpose of the video that the data points that Brett was just talking about are down here along this wall. There are 10 of them, but you couldn't fit more than 16 people sitting here if you had 2 per desk. And you'll see it, the data point there, there's a left side and a right side. The left one's called A, the right one's called B. When we move in on May 1st, only the A side, the left side, will actually be patched through in the comms room. So the right side does work, but won't be functional until we decide that actually we need that, and Mohammed goes and patches them through. So on the first day along this wall, we'll have the capability to have 10 fully active workstations.
Do you want table access holes here, or you like to just...
In every one of these intake rooms, there is on the back wall double PowerPoint and data points on the phone.
There's also duress alarm, but we're going to learn how they work another time.
So this whole section can be switched separately if needed.
That's the master switch for this section, right?
Yeah. So it can be switched on and off and not affect anything else out there if needed. Again, in reception, there's PowerPoints and data points for medical reception desk. And in every room, this was existing. We haven't really touched anything power-wise in here. We just added new data points in. So there is... Mailbox.
So that's distribution board number 2.
That cover. That actually was an old phone system.
PowerPoint 13. Not sure what CV stands for.
We will put a cover over that. Indeed. Here's another. One of the other 2 distribution boards on this level. That's number 2. And on the as-built the plans that we supply you guys, it will show you exactly. It'll show you exactly what does what and what is fed from which distribution board.
So is that for this?
Just this medical. Correct. Okay. That's the way it was originally.
That board is just for the medical rooms.
Yeah, that's the way it was from the day we got here. None of the walls got changed or anything. There are a few PowerPoints scattered around for any purposes, cleaning.
And they work.
They all work, yes. Yes, they do.
So if they're still here when you finish, they're the ones that are going to work.
Correct.
Yeah, they're like
Just cover all.
Yep.
You can probably tell by the face plates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. And the labelling. I think
Yeah.
the label they're working on.
Yep. They're old, redundant. I suppose that something's left up in the ceiling.
So they'd be gone and the ceiling tile go back in there before you move in.
Yeah. You won't see any of those once all the tiles go back in.
No, Brett, you just want to explain why we did the umbilical cords? Just
Yes.
They stay in these. They're colourful.
Yep.
They stay in,
Yep, they are staying. That purely just gets all your phone and internet down through here. Easiest possible way to get power and data to each workstation.
it gives you a bit of flexibility as well.
Yes, so you can. All these tables are linked up together with all your power. So you can move them a little bit, but not pull this desk out and put it over here. They will move a little bit because they're on wheels on the bottom, but they can move a little bit here and there, but not excessively.
And you'll note that even in a fully operational state, in an office like this, there doesn't probably need to be one cord on the ground.
No.
Unless you're doing the vacuuming or something.
Yeah.
And not at the back of your desk, not anywhere else.
No. And
It's
there are
all-
hooks underneath this desk. If you do have like long leads and something, you can hook them up. So they're not you're not going to put your feet on there and have all the other ones. So there are hooks under every workstation. There's a hook so you can hook up all your leads if need be.
And if you can imagine, like every workstation and every meeting room has this set up. So if you can imagine, all this cable runs through the ceiling. How much cable did you actually use? It was every day. It's like waiting for more cable, waiting for more cable.
A lot.
Probably here to the old building and back a few times.
Many kilometres of cable.
Yeah, there would have boxes of data, and each box has 300 metres on it. We went through about 60 of them. So there's a lot. There is a lot.
The way it's been done is it like a structural cable system in the ceiling, so it's all actually, it's not just laying in the ceiling.
No.
It's actually on continuity wires and tied up basically. So if someone does come in, pops a tile,
You're not going to have 10,000. Yeah, you're not going to have 10,000 bits of cable falling down your head. It's all supported up in the ceiling and off the ceiling grids everywhere. So.
And I'm not sure what the final solution was for like the end reception desk, but that's like the manufacturers tell you the maximum runs about 90 metres. Is that right? We're very close to 90 metres from that comms room to that front.
I'll show you where the comms room is in case you need to do anything else. But any one data cable, which is this is a new Cat 6 product, the maximum they can guarantee up to is 90 metres. That's just the maximum span that information can travel. The reception desk is very, very well close to that.
Yeah.
Like, it still will work. 100% will not ever have a drama with it.
Yeah.
It just might not be super duper quick like a close one would be.
Yeah.
It still will work. We'll just still have no dramas in the world with it. On the off chance it might not just be ridiculously quick. It might slow down a little bit, but so to speak, you probably won't even notice it. That's just what the data chat. No, well, that's it.
That's just
That's
for us
it.
to know.
Yeah.
Don't know, don't tell them, they'll start mentioning it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will not affect it at all. It will not affect it at all.
Yeah.
Is that to say that it would,
Work?
that you'd run power?
There is power up in the ceiling for that, yes.
Right, there is, okay.
Yes.
Right.
Just all your interconnecting AV cabling and that sort of stuff would have to, I'm not sure what the existing stuff was. Normally you buy the projector that comes with all the cords and leaves accordingly. So, and in this room there is twice the amount of data points than any other workstation. We have 2 on this wall, 2 on that wall, 2 on that wall, and 4 down the back wall. So if you've got a conference call or there's 15 people and you all unplug their computers in, there's twice the amount of normal to that. You probably won't ever use all of them, but on the off chance you do, there is more than enough.
I'm pretty confident we won't. Do you want to tell us about this, Brett?
That's I don't think it'll work in this mechanical.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not to do with me,
Fine.
unfortunately.
Okay. You didn't have to. You didn't wire them in either.
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I'll show you where the main comms room is. This is your main comms room for this whole level, where you have.
So the expectation will be only certain people will be allowed to go in here.
Yeah,
You
great.
wouldn't just let any
Yeah.
random walk in there.
Where you have these labels will change from any one point out in the field anywhere. So that one down the computers was 299, 300. There are labels on the side for which numbers. So you come down and you go 299 is that one right there. So it goes from point A to point B. So it's very, very idiot-proof. A data cable can't leave this comms rack, go out to a certain point and then split out and go one way. That cannot happen.
Okay.
So it's very, very idiot-proof. Whatever the number says there,
That's correct.
it goes to the corresponding number right there.
Okay.
And then these are all.
I was just about to say, we love idiot proof. Yeah.
It's very, very, very idiot-proof.
The point being there, you can't split data
No, you
Yeah.
cannot.
like you can split power.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it is the direct run from point A to point B. It will not go anywhere else. Yeah.
Right.
Hence the several kilometres.
Yeah.
Cable.
There's all your switches and that which control your phones and all your internet.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave those tiles out, is that right, for the ventilation?
Yes, because these do get very, very hot. Yes. There are exhaust fans in each one of these cabinets.
Those tiles.
But as you imagine, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 computers running in this one little small room. So it does get very hot.
Yeah.
Very, very hot.
And this is
Security systems.
okay. We'll look at them later.
Future. Yeah. Another kitchen, the staff kitchen.
Put those in place.
Yep. Few power points scattered. There's an oven there. Couple of fridges.
Which does work.
Split system up on the wall, which works and has no dramas.
Yay!
So nice.
Richard.
There is air conditioning throughout, which is not hooked up at the moment. We're in the process of upgrading the main switchboard to this building.
So why do you need that?
It's going to get hot in here.
Yeah, just extra. That was
Never
already
say
there.
no.
That was existing. So we just
Is that-
left it there.
Oh, dear.
Is that by remote?
Yes, it is on the wall over there. Yes, there is a remote control for that.
So that. There is that.
I love it in my house.
Yeah, very good.
What's that name?
Oh, wait just a sec, Brett.
A couple of power points for each photocopier.
Oh, this is where they go.
Yes.
So one of those is a phone line and a data line?
They will. It depends on how you how Craig programs them in the comms room.
Okay.
He can make these both do the printers. So from no matter where you are on any workstation, when you want to print something, you send it to that address, and he programs that internally into the computer systems. No matter where you are sitting on any workstation, you press print, and it will come to here.
It's also faxing from...
They can do from the. I'm assuming the printers that are normally in offices like these can fax as well.
Yep. Yeah, it's a multifunction
Yes.
printer as
Yep.
long as we
Fax
can
line there.
do it.
One of those can go to that, yes. Craig can organise that, yeah. But the programming side of things, it can happen, yes. Yep. Another set of toilets here. Male, female and shower.
They've all got their own separate switches.
They do indeed.
Some of them are on timers, or they're just downstairs.
No, that's just the downstairs ones are on the push button timer. All these are just straight switching. So male, female and shower.
Great work, guys. The real glamorous stuff.
This is one of the back stairwells, or the back stairwell. Purely used for like emergencies only. You can access that from the car park downstairs, but the two main ones are probably a lot more recommended. This one doesn't have the light switch. It's pretty much purely used.
No light switch.
There is a light switch for it, but only just does the stairwell. So if you come up this one in the morning, you have to walk through the dark. Well, the dark because there's no exit lights on. Yeah, no, it's try and keep it to the very, very front door, or the two main ones. Not the second one. It's just a emergency escape stairwell. Again, every office back down here, on the back wall will be your data points and power points.
Just to clarify, these are all
Old-fashioned phone points.
meeting rooms?
Yeah, they're all redundant though. They're not in use. That's all very, very old sort of system. Again, there's data points on the wall. There's power points on the skirting, no matter where you are. All the power points around here, they were existing. So for us to change any of that, it's a massive snowball effect. As soon as you touch one, you've got to touch every single one down the whole line.
And there's no great advantage to be had
There's no
anyway.
great advantage at all.
Yep.
No. That's why all these were existing. Pardon me, so we've just left them as they are. They'll probably never get used besides play a vacuum cleaner into it. They'll probably never ever get used really, but in order to take them out, they've created a massive amount of work for us, so we just left them as they are. They
And
work,
note they're all-
fine, they stay there.
They're labelled as well.
Yes, they all are, yes.
Yeah.
Other set of workstations here, same story. In the black boxes you get the power points and data points.
Lovely colourful umbilicals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice and
I
colourful.
thought they were temporary.
So some of those,
They all have been tested and working, yes.
some of the PowerPoints we may not remove. So generally rely on the fact that it's got a number on it works, and generally if it's dead, if it's a dummy one, we'll put some of those dummy kids' closes in.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
These are future workstations to go in, future tables.
This isn't for another, is another photocopier going here?
We may
We need one for
run an
this
office
level.
one for confidentiality reasons. We'll work all that out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've just got two. I was just wondering where the other one was going. One's going around
There's
there,
one going
where's the
in.
other?
There's one going in the other open office.
But there's no.
Oh no,
there's
is there?
No PowerPoint.
No, there's not. Oh, they're coming down here. Look, we can. I mean,
It can be put in.
we can put them wherever we want,
Just like that.
but we'll start with them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are future workstations going to go here. Hence all our data points hanging and waiting. There'll be
How will power run to them here since there's
There is power up in the
difference?
ceiling.
Oh.
It's up hidden for now.
Okay.
It's all made safe until the tables actually get here and we can hook it all up. So there is power for it. And again, it will be through your umbilicals, but that's up in the ceiling for now.
No idea. We're still waiting.
That was a bit handy leaving the ceiling on one of those tiles because they're only like compressed cardboard sort of things.
Yeah.
They're very, very flimsy and they break. So if you leave
Yeah.
that on there, it will come through it. So hope that it gets that. And here is the last switchboard for this level.
In the duty office.
Yep. Again, clearly labelled as a. It's all level 1, but there's one DB1, DB2, DB3, and in here you'll see on any PowerPoint back here, it's got the DB1, so just a corresponding distribution board. So very, very idiot-proof.
What does CB actually stand for?
Circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Yep.
Yep. So a few things locked off for the kitchen, but we'll have a proper schedule typed up, so it will just have very generic power for the entire building.
Main switchboard here.
Yep. In these two panels, you do have the bloke locked them. The metering is in here. These two.
So no one should ever have to open these doors?
No,
If you're
no.
only a licensed electrician, really?
Because these are all brand new meters, they are remotely, they can scan remotely, so someone sitting at a desk 100 kilometres away can read the meters on this. But no one will ever have to go into here, besides a licensed electrician.
And what's the trick to running them backwards? How does that?
Bypassing the meter? Yeah, no one will ever have to go into those. Only the tower authority, so it's sort of not a concern. We have to upgrade this switchboard, which is happening probably about 2 or 3 weeks. The substation is behind the switchboard into those big blue doors. And at the moment, the supply coming out of that is not big enough to do the whole building. So we are in the process, hence these new cables we've run up to the mechanical switchboards upstairs. We're upgrading all this. There'll be a new section going on the side that's going to control all your car park lighting on timers, that sort of thing. But all that is getting upgraded in a couple of weeks. So at this stage, probably not a lot of point showing because it's all going to get changed. But that will be upgraded. As I said, 2 or 3 weeks, it's all getting redone. So that'll be all brand new.
And there's a couple of bollards there that are actually going to be reinstated. So they're actually going to go here, just so no one can accidentally park too close or...
Won't get well.
They'll be painted bright yellow.
Up in the plant room, you'll see a little bit later on, that does the bulk of the floor. It was divided into 5 areas. It's now been reduced to 4, and I'll explain why in a minute. First area is the east end, just that far end. That's one zone. There's a thermostat on the wall that you can't see just round the corner down there. They're non-adjustable thermostats, so I'll show you where they're set. They probably shouldn't need to be changing those.
So we normally set them somewhere between, what, 18 and 22 degrees?
Well, they're analogue controls, so they're not incredibly accurate. So you could put the slider on 22.5, but it might not necessarily be 22.5. So there might just be a little bit of teething until you find that you're getting the temperatures right. And because it's an open area, you might think that they all need to be 22.5, but one may have to be a little bit higher, one might be a little bit lower, just to get that balance to make it feel right.
So they can actually adjust those
Well,
manually?
they can, but whether...
Yeah, so that's probably something
It's
you
in the
think about,
switchboard,
like
so...
You don't want people coming in the morning
Yeah,
saying,
go,
I'm cold,
oh heavens, it's hot.
and then someone
Oh,
comes in the afternoon and says, I'm hot, and,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
and then
I'm
these
worried
guys
about.
get call-outs and you think, oh, you know.
Yeah. So that's why the thermostats are non-adjustable, but there is some adjustment upstairs. So that's the first zone. This is the next zone. The thermostat's just on the wall over in the corner there. So basically the system is trying to maintain a temperature at that thermostat. So if you ever think it's cold over here, it's because it's trying to get the right temperature at that point there. It's quite a big open space, so it should be fairly consistent. So if it's at 22 degrees there, it should be 22 right through. The third area is these offices here, and it also pushes into the big open space down the far end. The fourth area has been disconnected, that did the west end, and I'll explain what's running the west end a little bit later. And the fifth area is just doing this entrance foyer here, just in front of the lift. It's a very small area, and it might even be doing the little office at the back there as well. So there's a couple of other thermostats. As we go for a walk, I'll just point them out. So that's the main part of the building. When this was tenanted, what was it, 10 years ago or whatever, by Telstra or whoever it was, they didn't want to run the main building, it was too inefficient, so they put some extra units on the roof just to run the far end. So those units are a little bit different, and I'll just explain, well, from a day-to-day operation they're no different, but I'll point them out so at least you understand how the air's coming out to the areas that you're in.
And those, I know you've taken these out, but there are some units still on the roof up this end that are redundant, but they're still there?
I think they're still there.
Yeah, okay, but they're not working.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think you've got about 6 or 8 across the whole of the roof.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even look at them.
Okay.
So I'll take your word for it. But I know that the bulk of the air conditioning is running off these 2 big units that we'll have a look at up top. And there's some what we would refer to as supplementary units doing some of the office space down the far end. That I'll explain when we get up there. Yeah.
So today,
You need to know, but I'll show you anyway. This is one of the main units. The fan's just inside there. So this actually is an air chamber in here. So it's actually drawing air through and out into your space. And in this little section here is a combination of air coming back from the floor. I'll turn that on. And air coming in from outside. So it does use some fresh air from outside when it needs to cool. And those dampers change position as it needs to. So that's feeding air into the 2 units. There's one to our left and there's one to our right.
Very interesting. So they're like filters or something?
Yeah, they're just bag filters, yeah. So, because we're just drawing air in down from the roof, so they get changed quite regularly. It just depends on...
Is that part of the maintenance
Yeah.
of the air conditioning?
Yeah. And the time period of that can vary, just depends on where you are and how much dust and stuff. It depends on the environment of the building. So some filters only last a month, some last a whole year. But when you're doing a regular inspection, you can tell whether they need changing over or not. So normally you wouldn't open these doors when the system's running because air is actually passing through these and heading out into the building. But I thought I'd just show you.
Yeah, very interesting.
would it be quite noisy up here if you came up here?
Yeah, it probably would be actually. Yeah. The 2 motors for the fans are actually quite large, so and you wouldn't normally go in. Well, you don't go into the fan chambers while they're running anyway. But obviously, these chillers are going to be incredibly noisy.
So the only people who come up here, similar to we said, the electrical with the switchboards, just the mechanical maintenance people, basically.
Yeah.
So no one should ever come up here.
I haven't got a clue what the contract would be, but I'll probably, like this, would probably have someone every quarter, I would think, every 3 months. Someone would probably come in.
So we've actually asked Scott for a maintenance proposal.
Excellent. Yeah. But yeah, you'd normally, for a site this size with this much plant, probably every 3 months you'd normally see someone. These 2 machines behind you are the chillers, that's what gives you your cooling. It's essentially a very big split system, big noisy old split system.
So this was probably the most gave us the most grief, or the most complex part of the project overall. Like it's something that no one actually sees, but it's really important to get it right.
Yeah.
These guys did a great job. It took a while to get our head around what we're going to do, but a lot of your money that you spent went on this, and it wasn't because these guys actually gave you a very good price, but it was really sort of important to get it right. Otherwise, you can look beautiful downstairs, but if it's not a comfortable work environment, people get sick and you just can't go work here.
Show us the boilers, Gareth.
It was a mess up here.
They're still doing that next week, I think. So that's the switchboard behind you, obviously with the big cables on the ground. That's what we're waiting to have connected up. And most of the bits and pieces inside that switchboard have been replaced. It was incredibly unsafe in the condition it used to be in. The bus bars were all quite exposed and it's quite dangerous. So everything in there has been upgraded, so that's good. It still looks old, but it runs as if it's a brand new switchboard now. You've got auto manual switches on there. So in this board is your time switch. There's one time clock that runs the air conditioning plant. And we'll just need to work out a time that you want that to be set to, which we can do through Scotty or whoever, and work out what time that will need to be. That's literally one time clock that will run both of these units. There is no after hours button on the floor, so if you need to run the building after hours...
So what, would people come in, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, or later, like you do at the moment? Would you come in about 9?
Yeah, we're going to get a bit more streamlined about that, but
So you
that's...
just need to let us know what those hours are.
Yeah.
Weekends as well.
At the moment, nothing.
Okay. Now the good thing is, even though,
Can you set it for different days?
yeah, we can do different times for different days.
Time clock,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's a full 7-day time clock. So we'll set that up when you guys are comfortable with what you'd like. If there are work after hours or someone staying back on Saturdays, you can actually run the building after hours, and it's just literally turning a couple of these switches into manual. That's the only thing you'd need to do.
You have to come up here.
You'd have to come up here, yeah. There's no magic
If we knew
button
about
down
it
on the
in
floor.
advance, we could set it, like it could be set.
I wouldn't recommend changing the time clock because it's in the switchboard and you shouldn't be in that. So we'll set it and forget it.
Yeah.
So if you need to run it after hours, I just recommend just flicking the switches to make things run in manual. But obviously you're going to need to remember to come back up and turn it back into auto again.
Yeah.
Otherwise things will
I've
just
been
keep
here for
running.
over 3 months, and I can honestly say it's never been too hot or too cold.
Yeah.
here.
No.
It's a huge. You might put your jacket on in the morning, but yeah.
Yeah.
If you were in a solid building,
Exactly right. You'd like to think that
you'd need
if
1,000 people.
It's not stifling like it where we are now, where it gets stifling because it's
And
small.
it's quite open plan as well, so it's,
Yeah.
there is air circulating.
yeah, that's right. So you'd probably find even if you were staying back at 2 hours after 6 p.m. and it went off, I don't think you'd be that fast. It would probably be just if an extended Saturday that you knew a whole heap of people were in on the Saturday or something, you might want to just get it going. And just basically just referred to as air handler east and west, so there's some switches there for ASU east and west hopefully.
Yep.
Yep.
So east supply fan and west supply fan.
Yep.
And then you probably might need to turn on your boiler and your heating pump or your chiller and your chill water pump, but I'll just start with those, it'll give you some airflow and just see how that goes. It should actually start if you're starting those in manual, just the 2 air handles, it should run the chillers and boilers if they need to run, so those really probably the only 2 switches you'd need to put in manual. Probably won't overcomplicate it by telling you about the others.
So after we've got the power on, can we get someone back to actually to show these guys how to...
Definitely. Yeah, I'm happy to pop in for half an hour when it's all up and running. Because I'll come back and set the time clock too, so when we have that visit, if we've got those times, I can set the time clock up and then just show you how the switches work as well. But it's fairly straightforward. The temperature controls are on the other side. This is the bit that I use, so I know a bit more about this than anything. But hopefully, again, once these have been set and everything's settled down, hopefully we won't need to revisit these. But sometimes they have these supplementary units put in down the far end there. The controls and the time clocks and everything for those units are actually in those units up there. So there's time clocks that I haven't been able to set yet because there's no power into those yet. So when I come back to do this main time clock here, I'll need to do the 4 in those 4 units as well.
So they're the rear units.
These
ones, however, are
temperature
redundant.
control for those 4 units are also in those units. So if you want it set at 23 degrees and it's at 21 at the moment, someone will have to come up and open the unit up and change that to 23. So we need to get those temperatures about right and then hopefully just set and forget. Those 4 controllers are really hard to get to and you've got to take panels off the units, so it's quite difficult making the changes on those. So once we get those 4 units set, hopefully that should be it. There's really nothing else much else up there. There's a couple of old units that aren't being used. I don't know where your toilet exhaust fans are. There's one down the far end there. You should have a couple of exhaust fans for your toilets as well. They might be up there in the back.
This deserves a photo. Yeah. On the roof and all.
What's that?
It deserves a photo.
Oh, it deserves a photo.
So if there are people on the roof, you can
Take a photo later. Come back.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
Ladies on the roof.
Zone 5 controller upstairs, that's zone 5. Zone 3 is on there. And they're the 4 thermostats with those 4 controllers up top.
So do you flick that open? Is that how you open
You
it?
can flick it open, but there's nothing in there.
It simply measures the temperature.
It's just the temperature sensor.
It's not a controller.
There'll be lots of people trying to change it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you can't change it from that, thankfully. It's just those ones that showed you up top. So
Yeah.
as long as you keep that to yourself,
I think that's a pretty good idea.
definitely.
Oh, they'll think they're doing it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I may have to put a lock on it.
You could put dummy controllers on there.
So just think about this. So you wouldn't put something like a photocopier under here because it will. So think about it logically like that. Yeah.
I did mean to ask before, that one there is in the kitchen.
Is that a kitchen?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
might take a look at that one. Just move it down the corner a little.
It's fairly close to the rice cooker.
Right.
I meant to mention that before, but now I'm mentioning it now.
That's bad timing. Well, we'll wait till everything's in and finished, and then I'll have a review about where that may need to go.
It's the rice cooker going high up to that. I thought that's...
There's one just sitting on the wall just at the top there, so that's kind of what they look like, a little bit different to these, but they're doing the same thing.
Thermostat for the supplementary unit.
Yeah, so for one of the supplementaries that we've just seen up on the roof.
Sorry, it's going up to the roof.
Another unit does just...
Keep up, gang.
Another unit that's up on the roof does just this room, so, and you've got your thermostat on the wall there. These controls...
Oh, the boardroom.
I haven't had a chance to test these because there's been no power. Nothing's been changed with these, so I assume this after-hours switch for this unit works. So if you click that switch, it should run this unit in here, well, I'm assuming for 2 hours.
But if you don't flick it and you're here during the set hours, it's on automatically.
Well, that's right. It'll still run with those set times that we'll put on everything else as well. But if obviously it's a boardroom or a meeting room, so that may have your 2 hour run time after hours if you need it. I just don't want to put my life on it just yet. But when powered on, I'll be able to test that and see whether that's actually still functioning. You've always got an LED as well, so that should be indication that the unit's running as well. So this is the only one I've found in here, so they've obviously just done it specifically for this room in the old days, on the old system. So.
Would the LED be when it's running at any time, or not just when you've
when it's running any time, yeah. So if that green light's on, you wouldn't even need to press it. Yeah. That's what they should have done.
So this room was existing, so it was obviously a boardroom before. So you just need to be mindful that how many people you have in here and how long the presentation goes for. It might just, because you've got 20 people in here for 2 hours, it might get a bit sort of stuffy.
Yeah, you've got 4 registers and the unit looks relative, actually 5 registers in here, so it might deliver.
Yeah, you've got the turn air grills in here as well. So if it does, I'd suggest just open the doors for 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll put these, because the adjustment for the temperature is up on the roof in the units, I'll set them all to 22.5, which is sort of standard. And if we find that your boardroom's always getting hot because you've got 100 people in, we can knock that temperature down on that one. So we'll just have to.
I would think very large gatherings in here would probably be short term.
It's the length of time.
Like an hour maximum.
It doesn't matter if you've got 100 people in here, but if it's only for 15 minutes, you won't notice. But if you're there for a long time,
tell them all to think cool thoughts.
This room's a little bit odd because it's actually been shared by 2 units. So it's got one of these supplementary units on the roof doing some of these registers, but it's also got this some air from the big unit coming all the way down this far wall and doing a couple of registers up in here as well.
Right.
So it's sort of mixing 2 sources of air, but we've only put 1 thermostat in, so the temperature control should be okay. It's just a little bit of an odd, from an air conditioning point of view, it's a little bit odd that we have a room where it's being fed from 2 different units, because they can essentially do 2 completely different things. But what we've done is made sure that only the supplementary unit on the roof has a thermostat just round the corner. That's doing your temperature control, and the other one's just providing a little bit of extra air, because that thermostat's way out the back, way out sort of near the lift in the middle there. So you're getting air off some of these registers that's been measured all the way out there. It's unavoidable. But there won't be temperature problems because you've got your other thermostat around the corner for your supplementary unit doing all the other registers. So if it was getting cold in here, that would pick that up and you'd get heat from the supplementary. And the other ones, you're just getting the same temperature air that the middle air is getting. It won't be an issue, but another supplementary unit's just been done for all those meeting rooms down the far end. There's actually 2 sensors in those meeting rooms. It's actually taking an average of 2 rooms. So the good thing is it's not relying on 6 blokes sitting in this corner room getting hot to bring on cooling. It's actually relying on 2 separate offices down there to give you your temperature. So again, you sort of have to be a little bit mindful of how you load those rooms up, because that's where the thermostats are. So if you did put a computer and 3 people in that office there, it's obviously going to think it's hot, and that whole area is going to go into cooling, and you may find your other offices are getting cold. So
maybe just leave the door open if you're just there on your own.
But look, there's probably going to be only 1 or 2 people in those, I'm assuming. One desk, 1 person, so there shouldn't be a problem. But just so you know, there's 2 sensors down there averaging, So hopefully between the two it sort of balances itself out. So that's that west unit. That's the fourth zone that was actually removed up top. So the controller that was missing, that originally used to do this far end of the building, but that's been disconnected, and this supplementary unit's gone in for there now. And then the fifth zone, as I said, just that little foyer entrance in the lobby, which you should never need to worry about. I mean, you're only going to be passing through, so it may get a little bit cold coming up those stairs, perhaps. I don't know if it'll be interesting as those stairwells, how much cold will come up. That's pretty much it. I think once we've got the system on and commissioned, we've got those set points adjusted to something we think are okay, time clocks are set. Really the only thing you'd probably have to worry about is, if you're coming in on a Sunday for 10 hours and you flick those two switches, it should run everything and it should just continue to behave. As I said, the control system that's doing your temperature control, as soon as you flick the air handler west on, the control box will say, hey, I've got an air handler running here, you must want temperature control, and it will just do the whole building.
So we'd probably suggest, like, we discourage if only one or two people were here, you wouldn't.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You're spending a lot of money to heat up a building.
Well, that's a good point
That's right.
too. You're going to start the whole joint.
Yeah.
You're going to start those 3 boilers, and it would take quite a bit to get everything up to temp, and you may find that you're going home shortly after. So, it would take a little while for this place to, like in winter, on a Monday morning, I can imagine this will take a little while to heat up. So that's something we'll need to think about with the schedules as well. Monday mornings may have to start at 5 instead of 7 or something. But again, we usually seasonally adjust those. So when we're coming in the summer, we normally tweak our set points down a little bit, and maybe start things a little bit later because it doesn't need to. Then in the middle of summer, you kind of want to start it at 5 AM again because the building gets really hot. I don't think this building, I don't remember this being hot at all when we started in here. It's been really...
Basically, this is the fire panel, and this is the isolation point that you were talking about that's out the back. It's now around here. So any isolations that you do will be through this, or any ASC isolations with this little blue.
So this is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So
Let's get layman's speak here,
if you
Stuart.
want to do something in the building, so someone says they're going to do something that may set off the sprinklers or fire panel, then we can actually isolate yourself, and then that means the fire brigade will not physically come.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 methods of isolation. You can isolate through the panel, which, to be honest, is the way that you should be doing it. So when we're finished, there'll be a zone, because there'll be a zone that's next to the panel. You'll go right, the plumber or the welder or whoever is working right down the far end of the building, that's zone 3, and then come to the panel and isolate the actual panel itself just in that zone. So if there's a fire at the front of the building, it still sets the times off and everybody evaporates as you would want, and the fire brigade comes. If this is in, the fire brigade won't come, no matter what happens. So that's just something...
Oh, that's a global one.
Yeah, basically this isolates from the fire brigade.
Okay.
So it will do, the panel will still work as per normal, it just won't call the fire brigade. So to be honest, we don't like using these in an operating building. When it's under, these ones, they don't call it an isolation anymore, even though everybody calls it an isolation, it's called disabled. So to isolate a zone, you go to menu, and then number 2 is control. So control, and then if you want to isolate the zone because it's in a certain area, if they're just doing work in a room and you know the detector number by looking at the detector in the room, you can isolate just that detector if you want. But generally speaking, people can isolate zones because something could happen around them. So you go to zone, which is 1, and then you can see if you have a close look, you can see you've got zone 1, zone 2, blah blah blah, and then goes up to zone 5 and then becomes X's. X's means that it hasn't been programmed. So you can see in this building we've got 5 zones at this stage. So if you want to isolate zone 1, enter, and then you've got disable input, which is 1, and that's your isolation. And you can tell by the fact that it's got general disablement, which is 5 panel speed for an isolation. They've changed, just in the last couple of years, they've changed the style of the fire panel to bring it into line with Europe and other countries like that.
I'm sure we will have a manual, and anyone who does this familiarise themselves with the manual.
Yep, and then to disable, you can see,
Enable,
enable, which is de-isolate. You can
hit 1 again, and you'll enable it, and that will just...
So that light goes on if there's any disablement of any zone?
Yep, so say for instance, something that means nothing to you guys and we haven't got anything connected to it, but ACF isolate, which is if you've got an air conditioning system with an interface and all sorts of other things in bigger buildings, if I hit that, that'll come up as well. So it just means any sort of isolation on the panel at all will cause that light to come on.
So any time we see that on, we should be like, oh,
well, yeah.
Someone left this on since yesterday, or
generally speaking, most buildings have an isolation register, or in this case, a disablement register. So anybody that comes in to do any isolations will sign a book, say if such and such, or Joe Bloggs from such and such company isolated this zone at such and such a time, and I de-isolated it this time.
And that would hang off something on the
leave
wall
it,
there.
Yeah, leave it sitting in the panel or something like that. Leave it sitting there.
Yeah. And to clarify, guys, the point of the isolation is if you do something that triggers the alarm that would bring the fire engine, but it's not a fire, they'll charge us $2,000.
Usually about 3,800 actually.
30, okay.
Now, can you just give me an instance of when you would need to isolate?
For instance, hear that noise? That's someone with a hammer drill. You would want to isolate the area that they're working in because dust can cause it. Dust will definitely cause the smoke detectors to go off. Steam will cause the smoke detectors to go off. Sanding. If you're working in a kitchen with some sort of bloat or something like that could set the heat detector off.
Making creme brulees.
Yeah. Burning the toast. That can set the detectors off.
Now that's what happens at home.
Yeah.
Is it that sensitive?
What we do to try and sort of mitigate that issue is in the areas where we have kitchens, you'll see there's thermals. We'll go up and have a look at it. So you'll see there's thermals. But in having said that, it's just in the area where the kitchen is. If someone burns the toast that badly, there's volumes of smoke, you will eventually hit a normal smoke detector.
Because that is a costly exercise.
Yes.
And if the fire alarms go off,
yep.
Does that mean and you haven't isolated?
Yep.
That means the fire department's coming.
Yes.
That, like you can't get on and call them and say false alarm.
No way of stopping it.
They're on their way.
Yep. There's no way of stopping it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what you do at that point is you start a real fire.
Yes.
So that they can put that out.
Yep. A couple of litres of petrol.
Yeah. Then you don't have to pay your $3,800.
That's exactly right. Basically, and there's only one other button.
Okay, guys, let's keep going.
There's 2 other buttons that could be useful. Buzzer silence and silence alarm. Buzzer silence is the one that you'll want when you come in and there's a fault, because something's happened somewhere along the lines and there's a fault on the system. You'll come in and an annoying thing will be beeping at you. Open up the door, hit the buzzer silence button, it should quieten down.
And we call you guys to say there was an annoying beeping.
Whoever your service maintenance contractor is.
Yeah. And the silence resound alarm?
That's more for an alarm. I was mucked up when I said 2 buttons.
Oh, okay.
Basically, I wouldn't worry about that one.
Okay.
You would only silence that one when you had an alarm that you needed to silence. I'm not 100% sure on the operation of this one, but it might need to press that button if you've got an alarm that's isolated, because the panel will still beep. So say for instance you've got the guy drilling next to a smoke detector in zone 7. You knew who's drilling, so you isolated the zone. The zone can still go into alarm, but it's isolated so it doesn't do anything. You may need to press that button to silence the panel.
If an isolated alarm goes off, that goes back, you guys know about it, don't you?
No. It stays local. If it's isolated, it stays local, so it'll come up on here. It'll probably have that red fire light come up, and it'll have a description of the zone, and it'll say isolated next to it. And the big thing, there's two ways that you will know that it's an isolated alarm. One, the building won't be evacuating, and 2, you won't have a red light on there.
Right.
If you have a red light on there, that alarm light, that means
fire department's coming.
Everybody's coming. So then go back upstairs and set some paper on fire.
Right. And so a normal fire obviously notifies the fire department. And does that notify you guys as well, to some extent?
That just notifies MFB. So generally speaking, from the MFB being notified, you will have whoever your contacts are. You usually have 2 or 3 contacts through ADT that will also call you.
Yeah.
And you'll come outside, whoever's on call that night comes out to site, gets here, goes, yeah, it's just a false alarm. Fire brigade generally go, you need to talk to your maintenance provider.
Yeah.
And so you give us a call, or whoever your maintenance provider is, and then we'll come out, reset it, see if we can fix the fault.
And did you bring $3,800 with you?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So if we wanted to do a test
A test? That was going to be my next thing that I was going to show you. I think that's about all you'll need to know about the panel as far as this control is concerned. This little control here is the occupant warning system, which is your evac. Currently it's isolated. You can tell by the fact that it's got the isolated light on. In normal circumstances, it's in automatic, and that means that if the fire alarm goes off, it'll send out tones and everybody will evacuate. There's 2 other settings for it. You've got public address, which is this little fella here, which if you'll have fire alarms, like you'll have a drill probably once every 12 months, or some people have once every 6 months. So whoever your fire warden is will come down, they'll have a little spiel and they'll say there's a trial evacuation, blah blah blah, and they use this to talk through. So
That goes through the slots because...
yes, yep, as you'll...
Yeah,
did you guys want to hear the evacuation tones?
yeah.
Sure.
Alright.
Sure.
Attention all persons, attention all persons. Testing of the building's emergency warning system is about to commence. I repeat, testing of the building's emergency warning system is about to commence. These are test tones only and no action is required. So this is set up currently, and I believe I can change it if need be. Yep. Right now it's set up just straight evacuate. So everybody just leaves. There are other settings where you can actually set it to do a warning tone for a while. And I'll show you what that warning tone sounds like.
And then it changes to...
Yeah, Nope. That one. Not be that one. No. I don't know.
Why do we need a warning tone?
Some in offices, sometimes they have, so you have what's called an alert tone, which basically is just everybody prepared to evacuate. So in big buildings where if they tried to send everybody out fire escapes at once, nobody would get out. Yeah, so they stage it. So everybody gets ready and waits basically to evacuate. The other thing is if you've got, which may or may not be some use to you guys, is if you have outside influences like, for instance, gunmen or something like that. Sometimes some universities use them to use the warning, or the alert, sorry, which makes everybody sit up and take notice and get ready to follow whatever instructions are given. So most small buildings like this, to be honest.
That's a smoke detector, as opposed to through here. This is a thermal detector. It's got a little thing poking down into it. Probably can't tell on this video. Stuart was just explaining that all the sprinklers go off individually. If they get hot enough, they go off by themselves.